Hello and welcome to BOOTHCAST. On BOOTHCAST, I speak to people who inspire me from sport and business backgrounds. Today's guest is Noic Garioud from New Caledonia.
Hi guys.
He is a fantastic young paddler. He's taking the SUP world by storm, and today we get to find a little bit more about him. So, Noic, thanks for joining us.
Thanks to you guys. Thanks to you,
So,
Michael.
no worries. So, Noic, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about where you're from and how you got involved in stand-up paddling.
So I'm from New Caledonia. I'm 19 years old, and it's been now 4 to 5 years that I've been on the world tour. Just won the world championships. That was my last big races actually, as we had 3 races to do. So the sprints, the technical, and the distance did pretty good. So now I just jumped into a starboard team. So that's a good thing. So we're on the
Yep.
same team now,
Yep.
and I'm doing good. Just try to keep my health and paddling a bit every day. I know that's not the good season right now, but I'll be back in a hard training time in probably in a week or two. And so right now I'm working with my father at our shop for a year now. So
Very
life
good.
is doing good in New Caledonia. Yeah,
Very good. So
warm
let's
weather.
talk. Yeah, warm weather, nice conditions. Hopefully not affected by the recent tsunami in the Pacific. But
No,
um,
definitely not. No.
so let's talk about. Okay, let's just go straight into it. Let's talk about the ICF World Championships. You've sort of been coming up through the ranks probably since like 2014. I think I met you over in New Caledonia when we were still both paddling for Gulliver boards back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe it was earlier now. I'm not sure, but. What was the sort of progression that you've had over the past few years, and what is it about stand-up paddling that you've really taken a liking to?
Well, I first start with surfing at the age like I was very young at the age of 4 years old. So I think everything comes from here, and so I start surfing. Then I went to SUP surfing thanks to my father, as he had some back injuries. He couldn't surf anymore, so he had to SUP surf. So I just followed the move to SUP surfing, and then when the conditions were not so good for surfing, I had to find another way to glide. So then we went to SUP racing. At first downwinding, and then pretty much everything,
Yeah, and then
including flat racing.
that sort of led into you becoming a two-time world champion recently in Hungary. Can you walk us through your preparation for that event? I know obviously a lot of athletes were affected by this COVID pandemic, and being from New Caledonia, you weren't allowed to travel too much unless you were living in France, like someone like Titouan was doing. So, how did you prepare yourself for the World Championships at home and without any really lead-in races?
Yeah. Actually, I went a bit on those world championship in the mindset, as I couldn't really race with the other guys before this championship. So I had to really prepare myself for that. I didn't know if I was good enough, like at this moment, at this really moment. So that was the complicated part of the training. But what I did is I just tried to paddle as much as I could in New Caledonia, according to my shop, to my work time. Um, Vincent Guillaume did help me a lot, and Benoit Rivière, my coaches, did help me a lot in my preparation. And about COVID, we didn't really got affected about the COVID, as we are on a small island. We got locked down for a few months, and then we were COVID free. So that was a good part of the whole COVID thing. So I could go in the water for like almost every day, and then that was a good thing about my training that I could do.
Yeah. And you were training sort of every day in between working at the shop. I think it's called
Uh-huh.
Just Addict there in Numia, which your dad
Yeah,
runs.
that's right. That's
Um,
right.
So are you working full time there? Are you training before and after work? Like how is your training work life balance is sort of setting up for yourself over in New Caledonia?
Yeah, so I'm working full time there. I start at 8:30 and then finish at 4:30 in the afternoon. So generally, I go paddling before the work, so about 6 a.m. in the morning, and then I miss the work at the shop on midday. So my
Yep.
father works alone, and then I go to for a little paddle on midday with all the crew actually. So I'm not alone, and sometimes I go also after the shop at 5 p.m. Generally to the gym at this time, not so much
Yep.
underwater. So to prepare my world championship, I went for 2 months, every single day, twice per day on water.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the sort of the standard that you have to be meeting at to be a world champion, and I think you excelled at that world championships. When you talk about your training partners and your training crew, there's
Yeah.
obviously been a lot of good paddlers coming out of New Caledonia. You got Clement Colmos, you got Titouan Pio, you got a host of other different paddlers who sometimes come across to the Australian events. Do you
Mhm.
guys all train together? Are you all in your MIA? Like, is it, or do you all kind of do separate, different things? How does it work, and how is the training dynamic over there?
Yeah, so most of the time, T2 and Clement are not in New Caledonia, as T2 is almost living in France, and Clement is in France too for his study. So I generally train with the New Cal crew. On the morning, I'm with we used to call him Ben Lelou, which means Ben the wolf,
Yeah.
as he has a huge tattoo of a wolf here.
Yeah.
So we call him Ben the wolf, and I used to train with him all morning, every morning. And then on the midday, I go with Benoit Rivière and David Anewi. Those guys were on the New Cal paddling crew for 10 years now, like since the beginning of the sport in New Caledonia,
Yep.
especially for David. So they're pretty good paddlers too. And Ben has been Benoit Rivière has been my coach since the beginning. So he knows how to paddle. He was a good swimmer too. So he has good how do you say that? Mm, good good things to say, like
Yep.
good advices. That was
Yep.
what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think obviously he would be a great coach for you. And then you've been working a little bit with Vincent. I can never say his last name right from Training Week. How is
Vincent
he sort
Guillaume.
of Guillaume? How does
Yeah.
he sort of filter in with your local coaches as well? And do you all work together? Obviously, you're doing strength and conditioning. You're doing on water work. Are you doing some cross training as well? How is it all sort of working in together to sort of get you to that peak performance when you're coming into a world championship?
Yeah. So we basically work all together. Like Vincent Guillaume is sending me all the trainings by messenger.
Yep.
Like every week, I've got a week of training, and then I'm doing them with Ben on the water here,
Hmm.
so he can coach me on what to do, what I have to do better than what I was doing. And Ben is doing me all my midday training, and Vincent all the morning training.
Yep.
So
And then,
that's when I'm training for like a specific race.
mhm.
So I'm like twice per day on the water. So Vincent do my morning training, and then Ben the midday training.
Okay, so you're sort of
Yeah,
splitting up between the coaches. You might do one with Ben and then one with Vincent, or Vincent will give you a
yeah,
certain session you go and do
yeah,
by yourself, and
yeah.
it
That's
all
right.
works, obviously works in. So when you're actually when I was talking to you over there in Balaton, you were telling me that you're mainly really focusing on the sprinting races, and you're
Uh-huh.
quite surprised how well you did it in the distance race as well. Can you walk us through? I know a lot of people out there who do listen to the podcast are very interested in sort of peak performance and how people train. So when you're training down for like a specific sprint or technical race, are you mainly focusing on that anaerobic system? Are you focusing on like a lot of speed work in the morning and then maybe an aerobic session in the middle of the day and then strength work in the afternoon? And how are you sort of filtering that out throughout the week to sort of allow yourself to sort of hit key sessions back like each day and each where you can be consistent, like week in, week out, because that consistency is where you get those good results down the track. So I guess the question is, how are you sort of breaking down your days with the training? Is it sprint in the morning? Is it aerobic in the day, or is it all sorts of mix up as you go?
That's a good question, actually. 2 months before I left for the Worlds, I basically only trained on sprint racing.
Yep.
So that was surprising with my result on the distance too, as I wasn't prepared at all for this race. But I guess training on the sprint race did help also in the distance race, as we got a little downwind on two parts of the distance race. So I believe this helped a lot, and that was actually a surprise for the distance race. I wasn't expecting that, and I wasn't even sure to do this race the day before.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a good surprise. And then for the technical race, which was almost a sprint race, as it was only a kilometer long. So I guess I did a good preparation too for that race, as I trained on the 200-meter sprint.
Yeah. And what was your main focus going into the championships? Was it the 200 meters? Was it the technical race? Obviously, wasn't the distance race, but what were you focusing on?
Definitely the 200 meters sprint.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
why did you want to win that one? Why was that one your key race that you wanted to win?
Well, because I knew I wasn't bad on sprint racing, as I won the sprint racing in London in 2018. So I knew I had like a card to play on this race. Maybe I knew I was good in distance race too, but mostly in downwind racing. As it was supposed to be flat, I chose to train a lot on the 200-meter sprint and less on the distance race, and that's it. But for the training of the sprint racing, Benoit Riviere did help me a lot with that, with all the midday training.
Yeah. And when you're talking about the midday training, are you doing like, let's say, 10-second intervals or 15-second intervals or minute intervals, and then having like 1 to 2 minutes off, or you're doing high intensities and then having shorter rest as you go through? What sort of like is the focus in those type of sessions?
Well, it depends of my week of trainings, but we mostly do a bit of everything. I mean, we've got the 30-30, we've got the 15-45, like 15-second sprints and then 45-second rest. Yep. So we've got a bit of everything. We've got also the 200-meter sprint, like full speed, and then a lot of rest. Yep. So I can start fresh on every single sprint. I'm trying to do a bit of everything so I can be prepared for all kind of race when it's about the sprint.
Yeah, and then so I was watching your 200-meter racing in Balaton, and it was obviously very impressive. I was actually lucky enough to be in the commentary booth when you won your race. And what quite interesting is a lot of the sprinters these days are trying to do the whole 200 meters on one side, but your acceleration in that last 75 meters or 50 meters was when you changed and you actually found an extra gear and you actually went right past Connor and sort of gapped in by board length.
That's right.
Did you have a certain amount of strokes that you were aiming to get to before you were changing, or you just went, I need to change now?
No. I just go like, I need to change now because I can't feel my left arm anymore. But that's a good question, because during my training sessions with Ben, we did try a lot of things like changing side pulls much more time, and also trying to keep it on the same side for the 200 meters. And I just tried to find the way I can do it the 200 meters faster than all the other way. And it happens to be the one when I change 3 times during the 200-meter sprint. So yeah, indeed, I just changed my side pulls for the last 1500 meters.
Yeah, it was really impressive to watch. Actually, just sort of power away and take that victory there. But you did the same thing in the technical race as well. You sort of got ahead and you were able to power away. What do you think the difference was between, say, yourself and Connor in that sort of racing format? Because you did sort of have the upper edge every time, especially when it got to hard times towards the end. Whereas I guess Connor sort of established himself as one of the best 200-meter guys, technical racing, guys for the last, let's say 3 or 4 years, but then coming out of the pandemic, you sort of really stamp your dominance in that event there at Balaton. What do you think the difference was in those events?
Well, I knew that that Connor was a really good sprinter. Even during the pre-selection, like we've got the quarterfinals and then the semifinals and everything, he had the best time. And I didn't like I didn't think I could go faster than him, as he got the best time. And I knew one thing that I saw on the live on the semifinals is that he didn't change his side paddle, and on the he was like I knew he was the fastest on the first 100, maybe on the first 150 meters.
Yep.
But I saw that he slowed down on the last 50 meters. So if I had a card to play, it was on the last 50 meters. So I just tried to catch up with him on the first 150 meters. So just to line up, he got a little advance at this moment, and on the last 50 meters, as I saw on the previous sprint, he slowed down just like a little bit, but it was enough to get past him.
And I guess it's what was it like your mindset wise going into that race? Like, was it like I'm definitely going to win? Was it I'm going to go out there and prove myself? I'm no longer a little chicken. What was like? That's obviously your nickname. We can talk about that in a second. But what was your mindset like going into it? Were you like I need to go out there and prove myself? Like, because there's been a lot of like non-racing happening for a lot of the time. I know you got to get over into Europe in 2020 a little bit and race against Titouan, a few of the major French races, and but it's obviously it was quite a hard period for somebody like you who was sort of up and coming through that 2018, 2019 season. Then the pandemic sort of happened and you missed a lot of chances to prove yourself. Was the ICF World Championships, was that the sort of the, I guess, a breaking point for you in a way where you had to really prove yourself, or you're sort of going, what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, the good fact is that I had the distance race where I got second on the day before the sprint
Mm.
race, so I was kind of free mind with that.
Yep.
So I just went without any pressure. Oh, sorry, battery. You hear me? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'm running out of battery.
You better put your phone on
So
charge. This chat's got a little bit to go.
yeah, I will.
Yeah.
So the good thing is, so the good thing is that I went on the distance race the day before, and I got a good result. So I went without pressure to the sprint race, even though I know I was prepared for that. Um, that's what you kind of say to yourself when you're on the day before, or maybe just like the hour before the start. But when you're on the starting line, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna crush them all.
Yeah, yeah, I think you've got to have that killer instinct, and there's, I guess, not that many athletes who have that. There's a lot of athletes who can get top sixes, but there's not a lot of athletes who can win. So there's that definitely that extra level you've got to find yourself in, and you've got to have that self-confidence and that self-belief to be able to win. So yeah, it was great to see. Obviously, we had good chats after the event, and I was sort of really stoked to see your progression over that period of time.
Yeah, well,
So
I yeah, I was confident in my preparation, so that helped a lot also. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they say that you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your highest level of preparation. And I think that you probably prepared better than everybody else, and you sort of kept that close to your chest coming in. And I think that was a great performance in the end. So
Yeah.
you win the sprint, you win the technical, you get second in the distance. Coming away from that event, um, obviously very, very happy. You stayed in France for a little bit of time. You did the French Championships. I think you won the distance in a sprint finish with Titouan. I watched that live, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool. So you're obviously getting a lot of confidence there. I think Titouan got you back maybe in the technical at the French Championships. Was that right?
No. What happened is I got Titouan on the distance race inside waters in the lake, and
Yeah.
then he got me on the distance race the week after that on the ocean open race
Okay.
distance too.
And what's it like for
That
someone
was a
like
distance
you
race too.
racing against someone like Titouan? Obviously, you would have probably looked up to him a lot coming from New Caledonia as one of the elite racers for a long time. And now you're sort of in there racing in the distance race, which is probably more his thing, like mono e mono a lot of the time. How are you finding that as a young athlete coming up? Because I guess you're only 20, 21 now?
No, I'm 19.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think you're older because I've known you for longer than I remember.
Yeah, always feel longer. Older.
Yeah,
So yeah,
when
not
I
the
first met you, you were like this big, and you were like,
yeah,
you were
that's
paddling the
right.
boards in New Caledonia.
Like
Yeah,
in
and you,
like in 2014 or something.
yeah, yeah. So, so yeah, question: how's it like? What's it like racing against someone like Titouan, back to back? Because in the French, seems like in the French scene, you guys have a lot of races where you're racing against each other back to back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the fact is, Titon, I always looked at Titon as a mentor. So that's a good thing, and he helped me a lot to become who I am today with all the technique parts of the paddle and also the training. I used to stay with him when I was in France in 2020, I think. Yeah, 2020. I used to stay with him for 3 months. So we trained together. We trained together on the week, and then on the weekend we had to race against each other. So
Yeah,
I think we got really intimate, if I can say that this way. And we're good friends now. And I will always see him as a mentor and not as a full racer, as a full competitor.
yeah. Oh, I think that's a good way to look at it. I think it shows a lot of respect, and which I think is great. And I think it's
Yeah,
something that
yeah,
you're quite, that's like you're something you're quite good at, actually showing a lot of respect and sort of being very thankful to be out there and be competing, especially after what's been happening. So going into 2022, yeah, 2022, wow. It's going
yeah,
to be
yeah.
another big season for you. Recently you signed with Starboard. Recently it was released. That's obviously exciting turn of events for you. Obviously having a backing of one of the major brands in the sport. How did that come about, and what are you excited about racing with Starboard for 2022?
Yeah, well, I got introduced by Bella to Zvein,
Yep,
big boss of Starboard, and yes, it just went like this. I mean, we had a Zoom call just like we're doing, and we had a good feeling. I had a good feeling with all the team. I already had a good feeling with all the team with Daniel, Fiona, you, Kono. So then I had a good feeling on the Zoom call with all the guys with to the industry.
yep,
So that was a good point. And then yes, it just went like this, and I'll probably be going to Thailand in April to work with them on the future shapes of the boards, and they called it research and development, I think,
yep.
R&D. Yeah,
R&D, that's the one.
R&D. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know if Clement is coming, but I know that Daniel will be there, Holly, and who else? I don't know. Me?
Yeah, you'll
I
be
know that
there.
I know that you can come as you're recently being a father,
Yeah,
and I don't think Kono will be here also because of a COVID thing, I think.
yeah. I think there's a few restrictions I think you've got to get through and jump
Yeah,
the hoops with the
yeah,
vaccinations and that type of thing. So everyone
yeah,
has their
that's
own
right.
personal choices with that. But yeah, I don't think I'll be getting over there unfortunately this year. But maybe later on in the year we'll have to wait and see if I can get over. But yeah, I think you guys will do a great job. Have you got the new 2022 boards just yet?
I'm getting in. I'm getting it tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully you
The
like those
thing is,
boards.
yeah. The thing is, I will take a Clemens board as he is not in New Caledonia for now, and
Yep.
when I will receive all my gear, I will give him I'll give him mine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. Oh, well, that'll be great racing with you this year. So, which races are you going to do in this season?
So the first race will probably be the Carolina,
Yep.
end of April. So just after I left Thailand, I will go. I will probably go to Carolina for this race, which is not an APP race anymore. I think it was like for last year, but it's not. It's not anymore. And then I will go to probably Santa Monica. I think it's the name of the race. This is an APP one.
Yep.
That is April, June, July. In June, I think, end of June.
Yep.
Yeah, and then all the World Championship, Europe Championship. They called it Euro SUP or something. That
Yep.
will be in Denmark. ICF in Polonia.
Yep. In Poland. Yep.
In Poland, sorry, yeah, Poland, and then the ISA, but I don't know where it will be.
Like every year. It's always like they tell us like 6 weeks out, and then it's like a lucky draw to see who turns up.
That's right.
Yeah. So what do you?
Oh,
So
and one more thing. I'll probably be doing London APP. That's just beginning of August or middle of August.
You're looking at focusing on like 6 to 7 races this year. It sounds like.
I think it was about 8 races. Yeah.
8 races, and then will you be coming back to New Caledonia, or you'll be staying over in France? Like what sort of how are you going to try and manage the sort of this pandemic type traveling, going back and forth?
So the good thing is that Euro Championship and then ICF Championship and London APP will be kind of at the same time. So I'll be living in New Caledonia for a good solid 2 months before the race, for the race. And then I'll be leaving once for Carolina, once for Santa Monica, and then for the third time I'll be leaving. That will be for the 2 months for all the Worlds and Euro Tour and Euro Championship.
And where do you base yourself when you're going over to Europe? Do you have like a family you go stay with? Do you stay with friends? Like how do you make it work on the road?
Yeah, I have no family in France, but I do have a lot of good friends where I can stay in France, and then I can jump in the flight for anywhere from there, so I can always come back to my friend's place, and I know I have a place to stay.
And will you be doing a lot of will you be doing the French events as well this year? Because I know there's always a hell of a lot of those.
It depends on what time they are gonna make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah, if it happens in August, September, I could be doing them. Otherwise, I'll probably miss them. Yeah.
Okay, so your focus will be mainly on the APP, the World Championship events, Carolina.
Yeah, that's right.
The Euro SUP event, whatever that's going to be. That's an ISA one, right? The Euro Cup, something like that.
That's an ISA. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Will you be doing?
There's one more race, which is the Osaka APP race.
Osaka APP. Yeah, very good. So you got a fairly big schedule, traveling around a fair bit. Got a new sponsor. What are you excited about with the boards? And are you going to be using the paddles as well? Are you using the wing foiling equipment? Which type of equipment have you ordered?
Well, I will be using everything. I will receive all the wings, a foil board. I will be using the starboard paddles too, and mainly all the boards. So I will receive I will take the sprint tomorrow, the 2022 which is the last sprint. I will receive also the All-Star 2022, but that's a bit later on the year. And then all the paddles, all the gear for the foiling, pretty much everything, yeah. And one SUP surf also.
On SUP surf. So you got everything, mate. You can go back out to, is it Bad Back? There were a place that we went and surfed that time that I came over with you.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I'll be surfing again.
Yeah, that was a great wave. We went out and we went fishing. Has your dad still got a boat?
We do have a boat, yeah.
Yeah, and you're still at that place, the holiday house.
To the Wangi, no, which is an hour driving from Noumea. No, we do have the boat in Noumea right now, which is faster to go to the reef.
Yeah, of course. So what does Noic Garioud do in his spare time? You've told us about work, you've told us about paddling. What do you do in your spare time?
Spending time with the family, and I guess I don't have much time to spend anymore between my trainings and the shop. Only Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill. Very good. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself growing up in Noumea? What was it like as a kid growing up on an island? And then sort of, is something like traveling with SUP and racing overseas, is that something that a kid aspires to as a young age, or is it just something that came just naturally for you? Obviously, seeing someone like Titswan being like sort of leading the way for you guys. Was that something you always wanted to do? I know you said you surfed when you were younger, but was that always the plan, or was it just something that naturally happened?
No, just naturally happened. Never had a plan. Once again, I'm thankful to my father to brought me on the water. But it has never been a plan to go on the race or to go on the competition, which was surfing or stand up paddling, whatever. It has never been a plan for me. It just went like this. I mean, we went surfing, and then we went SUP surfing, and then downwinding just for fun, always for fun. We never had the training. And when I first went to Australia, I think it was for the King of the Cut. I met you there, by the way. Or maybe
Yeah,
no, I met you. I met you before at in Surfers Paradise on the Gold
yeah,
Coast.
yeah.
Yeah,
Before
at the at,
before we did
at the
the
time of Damien Gulliver.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I
I
met
think I
you there
remember that.
before. Yeah. I met you there before in his shop,
Yeah.
and a few years later only I went in Perth for the King of the Cut.
And what would you say is, I guess, as far as Australian and like sort of the Pacific races, what would you say was your favorite race? Would you say the 12 Towers, King of the Cut? I saw 12 Towers recently just is not happening, or Troy Pease is stepping away and they're going to sort of maybe put somebody else in that. What is your favorite race on that Australian scene?
I would say the 12th Tower.
And what is it about that race that you liked?
Well, I had the first thing I have to say, because he will be watching me, is I love Troy Pace.
Yeah,
So that's the first thing I like about the race. He's a
yeah.
pretty nice guy. Uh, Look at that.
Oh, he's wearing it.
I,
There you go.
I'm wearing it. So
Yeah,
yeah. So no, I have to say that I love the race because it's on the Gold Coast, super weather, always had good conditions for the downwinning, and we had our apartment there, so it was an easy place to stay. All the surfing. No, that's it. It was the place to go for the race in Australia.
yeah. I think that was always one that
and
I really
and
wanted to win as
and
well.
yeah, and actually it was the cheapest one to go because Perth is like on the other way, so
Yeah, it was
it
only
was the
two
best
hours
race to go.
from Noumea to Brisbane, so it's a pretty
Yeah, that's
quick
right.
flight. It's
Under
quicker
two
actually.
hours.
Quicker actually for you. Well, I remember when I was living on the Gold Coast, it was quicker for me to go to Noumea than it was for me to go to Perth, and
Yeah, that's
nothing's
right.
changed.
That's right.
Yeah,
Nothing has changed.
and
World
on
is
the
still as big.
yeah, and on the global circuit, what would you say your favorite event is, regardless of like I don't know, trying to weigh it up factors of prestige, racing against the best guys, best location, downwind, favorite conditions.
Yeah, regardless of the results, I would say I love the Hood River. I loved Hood River. I loved London APP because like it's a magic place. Um, I have loved Greece. Greece. We went together to Greece.
Yeah,
I mean the weather is pretty good. Um, the races was nice. Color of the water looks like home. So
yeah.
well, I loved pretty much everywhere I've went.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you have any very big interest in travel as well? Is that part of the reason that you do SUP, or are you doing SUP purely for the racing?
No, purely for the racing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a plus that I have to travel for it, but it's purely for racing right now.
And so your focus is purely on racing. Is that mindset coming from you want to win, you want to prove yourself? Like, what gets you out of bed in the morning to try and win races?
What what brought me back?
What drives you?
The racing, the winning,
Yeah. Just
kicking
the,
your
just the
ass.
winning feeling. Yeah, kicking my ass. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
You've
just
just given me
kidding.
motivation to train harder. Thank you.
I'm just kidding. No,
No, you're
but
not.
actually,
That's
yeah,
that's the good thing.
that's a good thing. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Um,
No.
So is
So
it
yeah,
just the winning? Like you just want to win everything that you
no,
go in?
no, no. The motivation is mainly, yeah. Well, I would say mainly for getting results, but being able to travel, being able to prove myself to the sponsors, that's also a good fact,
Yeah.
like a
And
huge fact. Yeah.
you can see it, and that can be your profession. That's like your job. That's how you make a living.
Yeah, definitely. If I don't win, I have no more job. Only my father's job to the shop. I'll
Yeah.
be using tool all my life.
And you talk about your father a bit, Olivier, and obviously your mother was very instrumental to your career. And you say your dad sort of brought you into the stand-up realm. How important has that relationship been for you to keep pushing yourself and making sure that you keep sort of on track and towards your goals?
Yeah, well, pretty important. I mean, I'm tired of seeing him every day. He's just here, but
Okay.
but I can thank him and my mother and all the family for the support. I mean, without them, at the beginning, I would have never traveled for the races as I have no sponsor. So so I can thank them for all the travels and all the races I did for the first 2 years, and without whom I wouldn't be here right now, because I would probably not start racing.
Yeah, well, that's very key, the influences of your parents. And I know that for me, I was very heavily influenced by, I guess, my dad getting me out and getting me racing early. And I guess I
Yeah,
learnt to love it. And I think you're sort of similar. You love to race, you love to prove yourself, you really want to make something out of this. And that's what drives you, and that's what helps you win world championships. So is that the goal next? Like, what's Noic Garioud doing in 10 years? Is he still doing the same thing? Is there a lead-in plan? What do you think you're doing at the moment? You just focus on like day by day, month by month.
I can say what I will be doing in 10 years. Probably I will probably be retired from racing.
Yep.
But if I can still do it for a few years, that will be awesome. Maybe going to the Olympics game,
Yep.
if it happens in a few years. That would be a great accomplishment. But for now, I don't know. I'm just doing it year by year, new goals by new goals, and just having fun between each event.
It's quite cool to hear that you say that you're going to be retired in 10 years. So if you're in 10 years, you'll be 29, which is 2 years younger than what I am now, and I'm still racing. So we'll see what happens. Hey, well, wonder if we're talking 10 years and you're
Well,
still racing.
maybe I'll still be racing in 10 years, but who knows?
Yeah.
I
And
mean, at the age of 19, you couldn't bet on being racing at your age right now, could
no,
you?
no, absolutely not. I wasn't
No,
even racing at all really at that age. I was just going around
yeah,
doing
that's
stuff, life saving and living week to week and working in a bar. So yeah, to see
right.
what's happened, I guess in the last 6, 7 years has been fantastic for me, and I think there's a lot of future there for you if you want to keep pushing towards it.
That's right.
And so obviously talking a lot about stand up. You talked a little bit about surfing. You talk about wing foiling and getting the wings and that type of thing. Foiling is obviously a massive craze at the moment. A lot of people getting involved in it. How have you found that? Are you doing a lot of it yourself, or are you just starting out and you're just learning now? What are you finding? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I'm joining it. The thing is, I've started falling a year ago, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, I had a good start. I think I learned pretty much pretty fast. So like in 10 days, I could know how to fall. I
Yep.
mean, I wasn't really good, but I could do all my jibes and little jumps and all my downwind. Oh, sorry, running out of battery. Man, could you grab me my? Ah, cool, thanks. I'll have to. I have to put
Have
my
to
phone in
finally
charge.
have to finally put your phone on charge. You've
Yeah,
let it
yeah,
run
yeah.
too long. I'm surprised it's lasted this long.
Yeah, yeah. It did last
It
almost
lasted a long time,
almost an
especially
hour.
running video. So we're just talking a little bit about wing foiling. How did you get involved in it? Are you doing it as a hobby? Are you doing it for fun? Are you doing it like seriously? What's sort of the future for that, do you think?
Well, yeah, no, I'm just doing it for fun actually. The fun fact about wind foiling is that you could go a bit everywhere. As soon as you have wind, you could go fast in almost around every island, going through every bay, and being with people who does the wing foiling as well, because a lot of people are doing wing foiling and not SUP racing. I mean, in New Caledonia. So that's the cool thing about it. You can go with your friends from the main island, which is New Caledonia, to all the little islands. So that's a cool thing about it.
Yeah. And do you see yourself like what's one thing that I found with wing foiling and foiling in general, I didn't get the satisfaction I probably get out of paddling. I find with paddling, I get, I don't know, because you're paddling and you're training hard and you're sort of striving towards a goal most of the time when you're doing it. When I'm doing the foiling and the wing foiling, I'm kind of like, if I'm going to spend 2, 3 hours doing that, not that it's not fun, but it's like I feel like I've just taking away from what I'm trying to achieve. Do you find
I
that as
I
well
I
as a racer?
I, I completely agree with what you're saying. That's why I'm
Yeah.
doing it just for fun when I have
Yep.
free time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough one to sort of balance it out. Um, so I think going into this next little section, what is Noic's sort of plan, I guess, through the 2022, you've got your events, you're doing obviously a little bit of wing foiling, you're bouncing around back and forth to New Caledonia. Are you still working at the shop, or are you going to be able to step back from the shop a little bit and focus harder on racing? Are you fully focused down on racing now, since you've sort of signed with Starboard? What do you sort of see through 2022? You see yourself getting better? Do you see yourself improving and sort of trying to take more and more wins?
Yeah, well, I will have to step back from the shop, obviously, because I'll have to do my all my races. I'm actually already stepping back, as I missing the work at the shop every midday to go on my trainings. But that's the cool part about it, because as I work with my father, he's really cool with that. He just I can just leave the work pretty much every like anytime I want.
Yeah.
So I can do all my trainings. I can even leave like for a few months and go do my races. So that's a cool part about it. And what was the next question?
Uh, I was just talking to you about what your plan was for 2022, stepping back from work, focusing harder on races. Like, what are the major goals for
Yeah,
you
yeah,
for
and
2020, 2022?
yeah, and about all the about all the trainings and the races. The cool fact is that I'll be leaving for Thailand to work with all the team, and that's a pretty good experience, as I will be able to involve, maybe not involve, but work with all the team on the new shapes, on the
Yeah,
paddles, on the board. So that's a I will be involved in that, and so that's a cool part about being in the team in Starboard, and I really thank them for that, trusting me from the beginning. I mean, I just been in the team for a month now, so not even a month. We are still in January,
yeah,
so they already trust me by giving all my advice, if I can say it that way,
yeah.
about the board and everything. So that's a cool part about it. Yeah.
Just expect to have long days going back and forth from Bangkok to Pattaya. So be ready when you get over there. You're going to work. Don't worry. It's not just a fun trip.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah. You're definitely working on the boards. That's what you're there for. But you get the results, and I think
Yeah, but
I've done it
that
many years, and
that's
that's the cool
that's
thing.
that's the cool part about it. I want to work
Yeah.
on the boards.
Yeah. And have you done much experience with the working on the boards before?
I did work a lot on the boards with Sonova. I did involve the all water.
Yep.
So that's the shape I used to work on it the most. And I did also work on the flat water for a little bit, and we tried to involve we tried to get the Ocean Pro better than it is. We used to have a lot of prototypes, and at the end, the best of all, it was the shape we already had. So I did
Yeah.
work a lot on all the boards with Sonova, mainly the race boards, not much on SUP surfing, but
Yeah.
mainly the race boards. Yeah.
And so that'll be a great experience, I think, going over to Starboard. I've been lucky enough to do it a few times and sort of get to sort of be part of the team and meet everybody and see how it all works. So I think you'll have a great time over there. One thing I
Yeah,
wanted to
sure.
ask is, how's your younger brother going? Is he following in your footsteps?
I have. That's a good question. Actually, he's training with me every single morning,
Yep.
and he's doing really great.
Yep.
Like yeah, like he's coming so strong. Sometimes he even beat me on some little sprint. Yeah,
Oh, so it's going to be a brotherly challenge. It's
uh,
going to be
and
like the
and
new.
and and he's only 15.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, you were sort of beating us at 15 or 16 as well. So I'm sure, and I hope he follows your footsteps as well. And
yeah.
dad can be coming along and being team manager, yeah, as you go
That's
around the world.
that's the thing. He just looked like me at my age, at his age.
Yeah. Yeah, well, very good. Was there anything else you want to tell us before we jump off air? Like, is there something? Where can we find you? Is there more information for Noic, like Instagram, Facebook, anything like that?
Yeah, you said it all.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, you can find me everywhere. And but thanks to everyone for listening to the podcast, the Booth podcast. Thanks to you, Michael, for taking the time to call me. I hope I didn't say too much stupid things, and my English
You,
was good,
you,
and I hope
no, your
that my
English is
English
great,
was
mate.
good enough.
Remember, like
I
maybe 2 years ago in 2019, I don't think we could have a conversation. So you've come a long way.
Yeah, I've come a long way, and I haven't practiced now for a few months as I left Europe, where I used to speak English for 4 to 5 months now. So I hope I didn't lost all my English, and I'll be back mid of the year.
I think you did a very good job, and I think everyone's looking forward to seeing what you can do on the circuit this year. So, thanks for taking the time. It's been great talking to you. And just to everybody out there, thanks so much for listening to Boothcast. This one was brought to you by Booth Training. If you want to check out more of the Boothcast, you can check them out on YouTube, Facebook, and all the different channels. So, thanks so much for listening to the first episode of, I guess, season 2 of Boothcast. It's the first one of 2022, and hopefully I can do a lot more for the year. So. Noic, thanks again for joining me, and we'll be doing some more as we go throughout the year. Cheers.
Thank you, young father. See you.
See you, mate. Cheers.